The Mughal Empire should have ended here. Its emperor was dead, its capital had fallen, and the throne of India seemed already lost, because the man marching toward victory had already conquered Delhi, already conquered Agra, already crushed army after army. For many, the war was already over. Meanwhile, his enemy was just a boy, only 13 years old, no real power, no battlefield reputation, and an empire hanging by a thread. Most people expected only one ending. The Mughals would disappear forever. No Akbar, no empire, no Mughal history as we know it. But then on the battlefield of Panipat, one moment changed everything. And a war that looked impossible to lose became one of the greatest reversals in Indian history. This is the story of the battle that saved the Mughal Empire. The Mughals had barely returned. Just 1 year earlier, Humayun had reclaimed Delhi after years of exile. But this was not the mighty Mughal Empire history remembers. It was weak, fragile, surrounded by enemies. And then disaster struck. In early 1556, Humayun suddenly died. And overnight, the future of the empire fell into the hands of a 13-year-old boy. Hemu was already winning India, and he was winning fast. This was not an ordinary enemy. He was not born a king, not a prince, not even a noble. Hemu had risen from almost nothing. He climbed through the ranks of the Sur Empire, the same empire built by Sher Shah Suri, the man who had once driven Humayun into exile. But Hemu was different. He wasn't just intelligent. He was dangerous, because he understood war. And in chaos, men like him rise quickly. As northern India became unstable after Humayun's death, Hemu moved with terrifying speed. City after city, victory after victory, he crushed resistance. Historical accounts describe him winning battle after battle, not once, not twice, but again and again. Some historians estimate he won nearly 20 battles in a row. Smoke, war elephants, charging cavalry, broken enemy lines. Wherever Hemu marched, the Mughals fell back. And then he made his move. Delhi. In October 1556, Hemu defeated Mughal forces near Delhi. The city, the heart of the empire, was lost. Again. Just months after Humayun had reclaimed it. The Mughals had barely returned, and now they were collapsing all over again. Imagine the fear. Your emperor is dead. Your new ruler is 13. Your capital is gone. And the enemy keeps winning. For many Mughal nobles, the conclusion felt obvious. It was over. And then something shocking happened. Instead of waiting, instead of hiding, instead of escaping to Kabul, the teenage emperor's advisors made an unbelievable decision. They would fight, even though the odds looked terrible, even though Hemu seemed unstoppable, even though many believed this battle was already lost. One man refused to surrender, a warrior, a commander, a mentor to young Akbar, the man who had helped protect the Mughal throne, Bairam Khan. Where others saw defeat, Bairam Khan saw one final chance. But even he knew the truth. If they failed now, the Mughal Empire might disappear forever. Meanwhile, Hemu's confidence only grew. After taking Delhi, he no longer acted like a commander. He acted like a king. Some historical accounts say he adopted the royal title Vikramaditya, a title linked to ancient Indian kings. This was no rebellion anymore, no temporary war. Hemu wasn't fighting for influence. He wanted the throne of India, and for the first time it looked possible. Because standing in his way was not Babar, not Humayun, but a teenage boy who had never fought a major battle. As Hemu marched north, his army grew larger, stronger, more confident. War elephants, battle-hardened soldiers, momentum, victory, everything favored him. Meanwhile, young Akbar and Bairam Khan had to make a decision: run or gamble everything on one final battle. And once again, the road led to a place history had seen before. Panipat. The battlefield where Babur had founded the Mughal Empire was about to decide whether Akbar would lose it forever. By late 1556, the Mughal Empire stood on the edge of collapse. Delhi was gone, Hemu was victorious, and the enemy army kept growing. Meanwhile, far to the north, young Akbar marched south, toward war, toward uncertainty, and possibly toward disaster. Because deep inside the Mughal camp, many men were afraid, and honestly, they had every reason to be. Think about the situation. Their emperor was 13. Their enemy had already conquered Delhi, and Hemu wasn't simply lucky. He had momentum, the most dangerous weapon in war. Victory creates confidence. Confidence creates loyalty, and loyalty creates bigger armies. Every success made Hemu stronger. Every Mughal defeat made panic worse. Some nobles quietly believed we should retreat. Some suggested return to Kabul. After all, Babar himself had come from Central Asia. Perhaps the Mughals should simply survive and try again later. It sounded reasonable, safe, logical, but Bairam Khan refused because he understood something terrifying. If they abandoned India now, they might never get it back. And once again, history led the Mughals to Panipat. The battlefield where Babur had built the empire would now decide whether Akbar lost it. Both armies understood the stakes. There would be no second chance, no rebuilding, no retreat, only victory or collapse. And on paper, Hemu looked unstoppable. His army was larger, more experienced, and at its center stood one of the most terrifying weapons of medieval India. War elephants, not one, not 10, but hundreds. Massive armored beasts built to smash enemy formations. Panic horses, destroy lines, turn battlefields into chaos. At the center of it all sat Hemu himself, high above the battlefield, commanding from a giant war elephant, confident, victorious, perhaps already imagining himself as ruler of India. Because from his perspective, this battle should be easy. His enemy was a boy. And what about Akbar? History would one day call him Akbar the Great. But not yet. At this moment, he was still just a teenager, standing dangerously close to losing everything. At first, everything went exactly as expected. The Mughals started losing, and for a moment, it seemed the empire was finished. Until one single arrow changed history. November 5th, 1556. Panipat. Dawn broke over the battlefield. Dust filled the air. War drums echoed across the plains, and two armies prepared for a fight that would decide the future of India. On one side, a teenage emperor fighting to save an empire. On the other, a commander who had already conquered Delhi and seemed impossible to stop. Hemu. And if anyone looked stronger that morning, it was him. As battle began, Hemu attacked aggressively. Wave after wave, his forces pushed forward. War elephants thundered across the battlefield, massive, armored, terrifying. Mughal cavalry struggled to contain them. Dust turned the battlefield into confusion, smoke, chaos, screaming horses, falling soldiers. And slowly, the Mughal lines began breaking. For a moment, it looked exactly like everyone feared. The empire was collapsing. Again. Inside the Mughal ranks, panic spread quickly. Some soldiers began losing hope. After all, how do you stop an enemy? Who keeps winning? How do you stop a commander who had already defeated army after army? And high above the battlefield, Hemu watched from his elephant, confident, in control, perhaps believing victory was already his. Because at this point, history could have gone very differently. No Akbar, no Mughal golden age, no empire of centuries. Everything seemed moments away from ending. And then something unbelievable happened. In the middle of battle, through dust, through smoke, through chaos, a single arrow flew. No one knows exactly who fired it. But somehow, the arrow struck Hemu directly in the eye. The commander of the army collapsed, unconscious, bleeding, still sitting atop his elephant, but unable to command. And suddenly, everything changed. Think about it. Hemu's army depended on him. He was the strategist, the leader, the symbol of victory. And now he was gone. Confusion spread. Orders stopped. Momentum vanished. Rumors exploded across the battlefield. Hemu is dead. The commander has fallen. And in medieval warfare, panic spreads faster than swords. The same army that looked unstoppable began to collapse. The Mughals, who moments earlier seemed close to defeat, started pushing back. Hard, fast, relentlessly. Eventually, Hemu's elephant was surrounded. The wounded commander, still alive, was captured and brought before young Akbar and his regent, Bairam Khan. What happened next became one of the most debated moments in Mughal history. Some historical accounts claim Bairam Khan encouraged Akbar strike the defeated king to claim symbolic victory, but historians still debate how much Akbar actually participated. What is certain is this: Hemu's rise ended at Panipat, and with it, the greatest immediate threat to Mughal survival disappeared. The teenage emperor had survived. The empire had survived. But Akbar's problems were far from over, because saving an empire is much easier than ruling one, and the boy who almost lost India was now about to become one of its greatest emperors. This battle didn't just save the Mughal Empire, it changed history forever. The teenage emperor had survived. The empire had survived. But this victory did more than save the Mughals. It changed history, because the frightened 13-year-old boy who almost lost everything would one day become Akbar the Great. And the empire that nearly died at Panipat was only beginning. Like and subscribe Crescent and Steel.